Few people in public life spark as much intense debate and sharp criticism as Meghan Markle. Here are 20 reasons why so many observers constantly question her every move. The 15th point really lays bare why this public backlash refuses to die down, regardless of what she does. When Meghan first joined the royal family, Queen Elizabeth II did not rush in blindly. The monarch watched closely and stayed cautious, though she ultimately welcomed the newcomer with open arms. Truth is, Meghan did not have to wait very long to receive full royal backing. Just months after the wedding, she was already touring alongside the Queen, gaining fast-track opportunities others waited years to receive. The polished facade shattered quickly when Meghan decided to step back from royal duties, suddenly leaving the aging Queen in a highly exposed, difficult position. Walking away from the monarchy was not the issue, but the chaotic way they handled the exit sparked intense anger. Before palace officials could even finalize the details, Harry and Meghan announced their departure, completely blindsiding the entire royal household. It is easy to picture the quiet panic behind closed palace doors as staffers scrambled, but the trouble was only beginning. They faced months of talks, after years of challenges, and though they did not always get things right, they felt no other option existed. Soon after, Meghan sat down with Oprah Winfrey, pulling deeply private family tensions directly into the global spotlight. Then came the explosive claim about family discussions regarding her unborn baby's skin color, and the entire world stopped to watch. Wait, there was a conversation? Hold on, there were actually several conversations. A conversation with Harry about how dark the baby might be? Exactly, and what that might mean. Instantly, the crown faced massive international outrage rather than just typical family bickering. This public storm raged while Prince Philip lay hospitalized, leaving the Queen caught between severe personal worry and a relentless media crisis. She, once again, remained resolute even as her 90-year-old husband was rushed to the hospital. Just as the frenzy seemed to fade, the couple launched a Netflix documentary promising to lift the veil on palace life. Instead of resolving the tension, the project reopened old wounds as Meghan aimed sharp criticisms at historical traditions. She questioned palace operations and even mocked the traditional curtsy, while Harry sat beside her, silently nodding along. Americans would get this. It felt like some medieval dinner show. I just curtsied and joked about meeting Her Majesty. To many observers, resigning was acceptable, but mocking deeply respected heritage felt entirely different. Insulting the institution and the monarch herself crossed a line that many could never forgive. That specific broadcast permanently damaged Meghan's public image, and the story only grows more complicated from there. Critics began pointing out that several of Meghan's high-profile claims did not quite match verified facts. In that Oprah special, she claimed she and Harry wed in secret 3 days before the grand ceremony at St. George's Chapel. This revelation shocked the public and immediately raised serious questions about the massive royal event. If they were already legally wed, why spend millions on a spectacular televised public show? We actually got married 3 days before our official wedding. The Archbishop of Canterbury eventually clarified the situation, confirming the only legal marriage occurred during the public ceremony. Any private vows were purely symbolic. The discrepancy left many wondering why she made the claim, further damaging her credibility. A local church official quickly debunked the story, proving the couple was not legally wed in their backyard before the Windsor ceremony. Another confusing moment surfaced during their very first joint engagement interview, where Meghan claimed she knew next to nothing about Prince Harry or his family before they met. Her only real concern, she insisted, was whether he was kind, and nothing else mattered. With virtually zero background knowledge, her only question to their mutual friend was a shockingly simple one. She just wanted to know if he was nice, because otherwise, she felt the date would make no sense. Yet old photographs soon emerged, showing a teenage Meghan posing happily outside Buckingham Palace. Childhood friends also revealed she owned books about the royals and held a deep fascination with the monarchy for years. This made the public highly skeptical that she was truly as clueless about the family as she initially claimed. Tensions rose further when Meghan alleged that senior palace staff refused to help her during a severe mental health crisis. However, royal representatives strongly disagreed, asserting that multiple support systems were fully operational at the time. Those services were simply never utilized, leaving observers deeply divided over whose story to trust as the two narratives flatly contradicted each other. Soon, the focus shifted to life behind palace doors. Rumors began to spread that working for Meghan was anything but easy. Reports claimed her intense management style put serious pressure on the staff. Former aides complained about getting work messages late, like 4 a.m. early. The constant flood of texts was exhausting to manage. After all, royal staffers were accustomed to a highly structured, traditional way of doing things. So when her disruptive management style arrived, it caused immediate friction. Meghan Markle has dominated front-page news from the moment she joined the royals. But reports that she bullied staff sparked the most explosive palace pushback yet. The cracks quickly began to show. Several key aides resigned in short succession, which only fueled deeper questions about what was actually happening behind closed doors. Other reports suggested employees were emotionally drained, constantly buckling under the pressure of her high expectations. And it got worse. Whispers emerged that Meghan routinely snapped at the staff, including a tense confrontation with a gardener working on the estate grounds. Eventually, the Queen herself stepped in, making it clear that every employee, regardless of their rank, deserved to be treated with respect. Then the Queen reportedly walked in. Her words? "Meghan, in this family, we do not speak to people like that." That clash exposed a deep cultural divide. As a former Hollywood actress, Meghan was likely used to a more demanding, blunt way of talking to staff. But that incident lingered, cementing the growing belief that keeping things running smoothly inside the royal household was becoming almost impossible. This drama fed directly into a larger debate about how Meghan navigates her public versus her private life. Because whenever the cameras are rolling, every single outing seems engineered to become a viral spectacle. Critics argue her public appearances are highly calculated, with every minor detail curated to spin a specific story about who she is. The biggest controversy erupted following the tragic school shooting in Uvalde, Texas. Meghan traveled all the way from Montecito to lay flowers at the memorial. It seemed like a quiet, sincere gesture, but almost immediately, the narrative flipped when people spotted professional photographers in tow. Suddenly, the public saw her tribute in a very different light. Images flooded the internet showing her placing a bouquet, with cameras capturing the somber moment from multiple angles. Once the photos were secured, she reportedly made a swift exit. That was when the backlash truly started. Was she there to grieve, or was this just a highly polished photo opportunity? Look, Rowan, she showed up in Uvalde, Texas, playing the role of the Princess of Woke, visiting a devastated community right after a tragedy. Who does she actually think she is? The exact same doubts surfaced during her tour of Australia, specifically when she visited a local children's hospital. Rather than keeping the visit private, cameras were right there to document her every interaction with the sick kids. For observers, it left a bad taste, as if deeply personal, painful moments were being weaponized for public relations. To her critics, these repeated incidents started to look like a cynical, calculated pattern. Grief and charity no longer felt like genuine acts of kindness. Instead, they resembled highly managed publicity stunts. This perception forced people to question her sincerity, and the public skepticism only grew louder by the day. Then comes the constant comparison to Princess Diana, which is where the debate gets truly intense. Having an idol is normal, but many believe Meghan crossed the line from admiration into outright imitation. From replicating Diana's most iconic fashion choices to wearing symbolic jewelry once owned by her, Meghan constantly styled herself in ways that practically demanded comparison to the late princess. He explained the central diamond came from Botswana, while the smaller stones on either side were from his mother's collection, ensuring she would accompany them on this wild journey together. She championed the exact same causes and mirrored Diana's signature poses, creating striking visual echoes for royal watchers. Loyal fans viewed this as a touching tribute to Diana's legacy. But skeptics were far from convinced. They felt she was actively trying to assume Diana's mantle rather than simply honoring her memory. Honestly, she thinks she is Princess Diana. She has always believed that. She views herself as some sort of cross between Michelle Obama and Diana Spencer, destined to bring comfort to the world. The criticism intensified every time she wore Diana's old jewelry or meticulously recreated her historic looks. Some observers felt Meghan was losing her own identity, relying far too heavily on a ghost already deeply beloved by the public. Then there is Prince Harry. Before Meghan entered the picture, he was widely seen as the fun, easygoing royal. He was once known as the happy prince, connecting naturally with crowds, serving in Afghanistan, and seeming fully committed to his royal duties. But after their marriage, observers noticed a shift. Within just 2 years, Harry stepped away from royal duties, making it clear he wanted a completely different life outside the monarchy. And that shift got people talking even more. Word got out that Queen Camilla believed Harry had been brainwashed by Meghan. Indeed, royal family members felt Meghan had altered his personality, transforming him from a fun-loving guy that everyone adored into a tense, frowning man who suddenly seemed to resent everyone and everything. From the outside, it looked like Meghan had introduced Harry to a completely different world. A life of Hollywood connections, massive media deals, and endless celebrity attention. Huge contracts started rolling in, including a Netflix deal reportedly worth millions, followed by a Spotify partnership soon after. Prince Harry and Meghan Markle signed a major multi-year film and television deal with Netflix. Their production lineup included another season of With Love Meghan and a documentary about orphaned children in Uganda. Harry's life shifted fast. He went from royal duties and public service to commercial entertainment projects, and many believe Meghan was the one pushing that transition forward. Instead of formal palace events, Harry was rubbing shoulders with celebrities far removed from the world he once knew. For supporters of his earlier path, this change felt incredibly sudden. It left many with the distinct impression that his priorities had been completely reshaped, and that Meghan held massive influence over the new direction of his life. Then came the issue that really got people talking: their constant demands for absolute privacy. When they announced they were stepping back, they made it clear they wanted a much quieter life away from the relentless media spotlight. Yet almost immediately, they sat down for a massive television interview with Oprah, sharing private family details. And they did not stop there. Documentaries followed alongside high-profile media appearances, a podcast, and Prince Harry's explosive tell-all memoir. The cover of Prince Harry's highly anticipated book was finally revealed with a simple, striking title: Spare. According to publisher Penguin Random House, his journey from trauma to healing is told with raw, unflinching honesty. They jet-set it across the globe, promoting their work while simultaneously criticizing media intrusion. Meghan even launched a podcast that wrapped after one single season while fighting ongoing legal battles with British tabloids. People couldn't help but see the contradiction. How do you demand privacy while keeping yourself front and center in the global spotlight? That question kept coming up again and again. For many, privacy did not mean escaping the spotlight, but rather controlling the narrative and choosing when to step into it. They demanded peace, but then spilled family secrets in a massive bombshell interview. On top of that, the growing tension between Harry, Meghan, and Prince William became a major focal point. Reports soon surfaced about serious disagreements between the brothers and their wives shortly after the honeymoon phase ended. One report detailed a heated argument where William allegedly pointed his finger at Meghan, adding massive drama to an already tense situation. Things apparently escalated quickly, with Meghan allegedly snapping and telling William to get his finger out of her face. Queen Camilla reportedly told a close friend that Meghan Markle had completely brainwashed Prince Harry. These explosive claims are detailed in a new book by Tom Bauer, who alleges that tensions were already spiraling just weeks after their 2018 honeymoon. He claims a supposedly friendly tea meeting between the brothers ended with Meghan snapping at Prince William and warning him directly, "If you don't mind, get your finger out of my face." Moments like that only fueled the narrative that adapting to the royal hierarchy was extremely difficult for her. Meanwhile, behind palace walls, there were growing concerns about what the future might hold. Some believe that once William takes the throne, he might strip the couple of their titles, just like Prince Andrew lost his royal privileges. Rumors even swirled that Meghan was ready to take legal action if that ever happened, escalating the tension to a whole new level. Meghan is reportedly terrified that Prince William will move to strip her of her Duchess of Sussex title once he becomes king. The recent move to strip Prince Andrew and Fergie of their royal titles has reportedly sent a chill through Montecito, leaving the Sussexes fearing they might be next. Honestly, if I were Meghan, I'd be pretty worried too, because she still uses that Duchess of Sussex title every chance she gets. For many royal onlookers, the idea of fighting back against a future king simply did not sit well. It only reinforced the belief that Meghan never truly respected the traditions of royal life, a perception that is stuck with the public. Then there's the messy situation with her father, Thomas Markle, which became another huge talking point. He didn't even show up to her wedding. Instead, Prince Charles had to step in and walk her down the aisle. Even though her father later apologized publicly for his media stunts, the relationship never seemed to recover. He made it clear there was no excuse for Harry to treat him like that or to treat the king that way either. Over time, reports surfaced of Thomas Markle falling seriously ill. He desperately wanted to mend fences with Meghan and finally meet his grandchildren. But despite his pleas, no visits ever happened. And the world definitely noticed. Everyone knew Meghan Markle was estranged from her father, to put it politely. But the man was pleading, saying he has grandkids he deserves to meet. He desperately wanted to see them before his health failed. Her response total, dead silence. The contrast was absolutely stunning. Meghan kept flying across the globe for high-profile events. It made people ask why she had time for international tours, but not for her sick father. To onlookers, this cold distance looked like someone desperately trying to erase her past. It triggered a fierce debate about loyalty and family ties. Soon, even her wardrobe choices were dragged into the spotlight. It sounds trivial, but it became a massive talking point. She was pushed as a style icon, but many onlookers simply did not agree. Critics quickly noticed that despite the eye-watering price tags on her designer clothes, they often looked wrinkled or poorly tailored. People swarmed on her look at Cousin Celia's wedding. Instead of polished royalty, her outfit looked like yards of heavy, oversized fabric. The call-outs kept coming, especially those loose, drowning cuts that completely swallowed her frame. Clothes that felt way too casual for formal events. Outfits seemingly designed to grab headlines rather than look put together. Too many of her ensembles felt rushed, mismatched, or like they were trying just a little too hard to scream for attention. If she wanted to be a global trendsetter, critics argued her closet simply failed to deliver on the hype. Pricey designer labels do not automatically equal style. Many felt Meghan relied on expensive brand tags rather than building a cohesive, elegant look. This mismatch between cost and class became a running joke during public events. But a much larger controversy was about to steal the spotlight. Quitting the royal family is one thing, but walking away and then launching public attacks is what truly shocked the public. Once they stepped down, Harry and Meghan released a Netflix documentary detailing the messy private dynamics behind palace walls. They painted the palace as cold and hostile. Meghan even hinted that forces within the system were actively working against them, claiming the deck was stacked from the very beginning. But the heaviest blow came when she alleged that members of the household expressed concern over how dark Archie's skin tone might be. That bombshell claim went viral globally. triggering a massive, painful debate about race inside the British monarchy. These shocking interview confessions are only one side of the coin, though. Her old personal blog post suggests she was actually quite obsessed with the royals long before she met Harry. Today, she claims she was totally naive about them, having absolutely no clue who they were or the massive scale of the institution. But that innocent story clashes with statements from her old friends and her own blog. It got even messier. Later, Oprah Winfrey set the record straight, clarifying that neither Queen Elizabeth nor Prince Philip made those comments. That left the public demanding answers. Who actually made those comments? Did they ever discuss the matter again? It triggered a massive global guessing game. Everyone wanted to know the identity of the mysterious royal. Some found it noble that Harry chose to shield the identity of whoever spoke those words. Harry kept the identity secret, but he made absolutely sure the public knew one thing: neither his grandmother, the Queen, nor his grandfather, Prince Philip, were ever part of those conversations. Without any names, the waters grew murkier, leaving viewers entirely unsure of how to process such a heavy allegation. To many observers, this broadcast did not feel like a quiet, private moment of reflection. Instead, it felt like dragging deeply personal family feuds straight into the blinding glare of the global spotlight. These endless tensions kept bubbling up, proving to critics that Meghan was still actively fighting the very palace she once entered. Then, a quiet moment behind closed doors, completely shielded from the media glare, changed everything. Just days before the royal wedding, what should have been a joyful countdown completely shattered. Reports leaked of a furious clash between Meghan and Princess Catherine over flower girl dresses. Multiple insiders claimed the blowout left Catherine crying in the days leading up to the ceremony. A future queen reduced to tears right before a global spectacle immediately gripped the public. But then Meghan told her side, completely flipping the narrative and claiming she was the one weeping. She asserted that days before the wedding, she was the one crying over the flower girl dress issue. But here is the real catch. Several palace sources originally backed Catherine, and when Meghan reversed the story, many onlookers remained highly skeptical. That clash forced the public to view their relationship in a completely new light. To outsiders, the entire feud boiled down to strict royal protocol. Catherine insisted the young flower girls wear tights, keeping with strict traditional royal customs. Meghan flatly disagreed with that approach. Things got incredibly tense when word got out that Princess Charlotte's dress did not fit right and needed urgent last-minute changes. Reports claimed those worries were brushed off, adding fuel to the fire burning behind closed doors. What was supposed to be a happy countdown to the wedding quickly collapsed into a massive, highly publicized feud. Then there is another pattern. Critics constantly point out timing is everything. Meghan frequently gets blamed for dropping big news during major royal events, and the public definitely noticed senior royals would plan major charity events or focus on massive national causes, only for Meghan to drop her own announcements at that exact moment. That overlap did not go unnoticed and quickly dominated the conversation. Take the time, Catherine was ready to announce a major Christmas community project that drew a lot of media focus. Right around then, Meghan started promoting her Netflix lifestyle show. Many felt it deliberately hijacked the spotlight from the palace. Another moment arrived when Catherine returned to public duty after her cancer treatment, a deeply emotional milestone the entire nation rallied behind. Yet right at that moment, Meghan reportedly dropped brand updates, triggering another wave of fierce public debate. More details have emerged about Meghan Markle's luxury lifestyle brand. The Duchess announced her new venture, American Riviera Orchard, earlier this month through a promo video posted on the brand's official Instagram page. To observers, these clashes made it look like Meghan was desperate to stay in the spotlight even during historic royal milestones. Coincidence or not, this recurring pattern left people wondering if stepping away quietly was ever actually on her agenda. One of the loudest controversies surrounding Meghan Markle is her ongoing use of royal titles long after walking away from active duties. Although she and Harry chose to leave working royal life, she clung to her Duchess of Sussex title, and critics quickly noticed how frequently she plasters it everywhere. Rather than letting the title fade, observers note she uses it constantly for business ventures, corporate branding, and major public projects. From product rollouts to PR gift baskets and high-profile introductions, her royal status remains front and center, raising serious questions. To many onlookers, it felt like a total double standard. On one side, she abandoned her royal duties, but on the other, she gladly cashed in on the crown connection whenever it boosted her brand or opened lucrative doors. This created a toxic narrative that she wanted all the royal prestige without doing any of the actual work. Once that took root, it followed her everywhere. And she's still incredibly eager to showcase that Duchess of Sussex title. She flaunts it on her website while trying to peddle high-end candles and jars of jam. Her entire worldwide brand relies on being a duchess. It's not about her past acting career, even though reports say she is working on some new television series or film, but strip those titles away and both she and Harry instantly lose their royal cachet, turning into standard, everyday Hollywood celebrities. Another point of contention is how Meghan always frames her own version of events. Whether dealing with family drama, palace feuds, bad press, or career setbacks, she consistently casts herself as the ultimate victim who was treated terribly. Across tell-all interviews, Netflix documentaries, and podcasts, her narrative always circles back to her intense personal trauma and emotional pain. Everyone deals with hardships, but critics noted a clear pattern where she rarely allows the conversation to shift away from her own grievances. Eventually, this repetitive narrative exhausted the public. People grew tired of a predictable story where she avoided taking real responsibility, constantly pointing fingers at outside forces instead. That is when the public began asking much harder questions. One blunt query stood out. At what point does she actually take responsibility? Complaining about constant struggle while enjoying massive global fame, immense wealth, and elite opportunities made it hard for ordinary viewers to sympathize. Look, it's a lot to deal with. Trying to manage all of this while being a new mom and a newlywed, it is really tough. And honestly, thank you for asking, because not many people have actually checked to see if I'm okay. It is a very real struggle. And whenever Meghan's name is mentioned in the same breath as Princess Catherine, things get incredibly heated. Those direct comparisons trigger intense reactions, turning every discussion into a fiery debate the moment they are brought up. Many feel that instead of finding her own unique path, Meghan consistently tried to position herself as a direct competitor to Catherine. Every single time Catherine captured the spotlight or earned glowing public praise, Meghan would suddenly emerge with her own flashy news, revealing new projects, brand rollouts, podcasts, or big business deals. Her fans called it smart business, but critics saw a transparent grab for attention. To the public, it looked like blatant rivalry, and that damaging label stuck. Critics argue the real issue was that Meghan wanted to play queen, while Harry acted like her submissive lapdog. He did absolutely everything to please Meghan because he is deeply insecure, damaging his own public reputation beyond recovery in the process. Royal commentators even suggested that Meghan craved the global adoration and status that naturally belongs to a future queen consort. But once she realized the strict royal hierarchy would always keep William and Catherine a step ahead, insiders began speculating that sheer frustration drove her decision to abandon the royal family altogether. To observers, Meghan did not just want a seat at the royal table. She seemed determined to tear down and rebuild the entire system on her own terms. When that clashed with centuries of sacred tradition, she chose to walk away to build an independent empire. Yet, peace and quiet never actually seemed to follow her. After stepping back, she did not just fade into quiet privacy. Meghan stayed locked in the media spotlight, and honestly, that is exactly why people started feeling so exhausted. Every couple of months, something fresh popped up. A new headline, an interview, a sudden statement, or a project pulling her right back to the center of public debate. From legal wars with tabloids to surprise appearances and highly calculated press releases, her name rarely ever dropped out of the daily news cycle. To many onlookers, this stopped looking like simple coincidence. It started feeling like a calculated strategy. Any quiet moment was brief. Soon enough, something else would bubble up, dragging the cameras right back. Gradually, even some of her early defenders started feeling exhausted by what looked like a never-ending loop. Controversy, response, explanations. Then the whole wave starts again. Soon the entire narrative shifted. People stopped judging each incident on its own merits. They began tying her whole brand to nonstop, exhausting drama, a reputation that proved incredibly hard to shake. This is the exact moment critics point to. Arguing the broader picture finally comes into sharp focus. When Meghan and Harry landed in America, Hollywood giants scrambled to sign them up. Let's be honest, that massive hype was purely built on their royal ties. Netflix locked them down for a staggering multi-million-dollar deal, and Spotify rushed in right behind with another massive partnership. Expectations soared. Audiences fully expected rare, behind-the-scenes royal secrets and the kind of intimate stories only this couple could ever tell. But the reality did not match the hype. Several of their heavily promoted projects struggled to keep viewers hooked for long. Critical reviews were highly mixed, and major deals collapsed far ahead of schedule. Naturally, people started asking some tough questions. Were these contracts signed because of genuine creative talent, or did they just cash in on royal titles and cheap curiosity? Netflix has officially cut ties with Meghan Markle's polarizing lifestyle brand as ever. It is a massive blow to the Duchess's commercial ambitions. People still talk about the time Prince Harry reportedly cornered Disney CEO Bob Iger at a red carpet event, pitching Meghan for future voice-over gigs. To outside observers, it looked like their royal status was actively being used to force open doors in Hollywood. That image stuck. Many started feeling that royal status was being treated as a cheap shortcut to elite opportunities. When the actual products failed to live up to the massive hype, both audiences and major executives felt burned. But there is another angle that is just as revealing. Sometimes it is less about what Meghan says and more about who is missing from her life. Long before the royal titles, global deals, and explosive interviews, she had a tight-knit circle of friends. These loyal friends backed her through the grind of her early acting days, standing by her side way before the public spotlight turned blinding. Once she married into royalty, that inner circle did not just shrink. It transformed completely in a way that left onlookers puzzled, sparking a fresh wave of public speculation. Her old friendships did not just slowly drift apart, they vanished. Quietly and without explanation, those who were once closest to her suddenly dropped out of sight. There were no explosive public feuds or dramatic statements. They were simply gone. And when that happens, not just to one friend or two, but almost every single one of them, it forces people to ask a serious question. What did those friends witness behind closed doors? To her critics, the deepest issue is what they describe as a desperate craving for attention. Through endless interviews and high-profile documentaries, speeches, and public outings, a growing sentiment suggests Meghan always finds a way to put herself at the absolute center of attention. Whether it is a charity event, an intimate family gathering, or a formal ceremony, the spotlight somehow always swings back to her personal narrative. Critics love pointing to her address at the One Young World Summit, where she reportedly used the word I 34 times in just 7 minutes. It was proof that she was there, proof that she belonged. She admitted that she was terrified and felt like she did not belong. She questioned if she was even good enough to be there, wondering if her work in the world, however meaningful she believed it to be, was truly deserving of that stage. That detail stuck with viewers, becoming a symbol of a much larger critique that she somehow makes everything circle back to herself. For some, this looks like pure confidence and sharp self-promotion. For others, it reveals an inability to step out of the spotlight, even when the moment demands it. Over the years, this sentiment only hardened. People began to feel it was not just about basic fame, it was about a relentless need to control the narrative. Once that public perception hardens, every single move she makes is viewed through that exact lens, feeding the cycle over and over. And there you have it. 20 reasons why public opinion on Meghan Markle remains deeply divided. Now, we want to hear from you. Did we miss a crucial detail, or do you view the situation differently? Let us know down below. Hit that like button, share this with friends, and subscribe for more deep dives. We will see you in the very next video.